vacuum right now. We've talked about how the congressional Democratic leaders are not necessarily filling it. And so the speculation about 2028 has been pretty big already, just in the last couple of days. America's leading Democratic political analyst last night spoke about this.
So, I mean, look, if somebody traded on insider information, they should be held accountable, just as people here on Wall Street are. But I think it's a little rich for certain members of Congress to say stuff.
All right, Dan, the Democrats should listen to Dan. All right, watch the show, listen to Dan, you might survive. Thanks very much.
Thank you, Jesse.
Kamala thinks California would be a cakewalk, but insiders say it could be the final nail in her coffin.
If she ran for
insiders,
Texas, she'd lose. It is so bad when you start to read how horrible of a candidate she was. She couldn't run for anything and win.
If her friends are being honest with her, they're going to say what Dan said, which is you can run for governor of California, but you might lose. And that would be not just embarrassing, but like existential destabilizing.
Remember, Joe didn't pick Kamala as his running mate?
All right, Dan, what else did you say on Jesse last night, Dan?
I want to say for the record, I said I thought the Democrats have had the best 3 weeks since, Harris got the nomination, because I'm going to segue here. People like Andy Beshear have been out and delivering just an excellent message on trade. He's been talking about bourbon sales overseas and auto companies in his state. I mean,
all right. Speaking of Andy Beshear, he has followed the trailblazing path of California Governor Gavin Newsom and launched his own podcast here, 106. Here's a piece of his new podcast.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Andy Beshear podcast. This is our pilot and first episode. The world feels pretty heavy right now. The news comes at you and hits you minute by minute by minute. It can be stressful and it can feel overwhelming. Our goal here is to process a lot of that information and news, but in a conversation between friends.
So everybody's going to have their own review of that. He got a nice piece in NBCnews.com about launching his podcast. Gretchen Whitmer was hammered by NBC along the lines of what we talked about yesterday. So again, there's a lot of discussion about who's stepping up. And as we've said, this is not premature, not just because of the vacuum, but pretty soon you're going to see candidates out there raising money for 2026 congressional candidates and gubernatorial candidates.
Can I just one critique there, by the way?
Sir. Yes, sir.
The one thing about long form that I've learned, in terms of podcasts and everything else, is that there's plenty, like the ecosystem has a lot of opportunities, right? It's like any other profession to some degree. If you're going to get into podcasting, one of the things that I think a lot of people learn is that there's a degree of authenticity that people want. They want to feel like it's not like you're not reading off a teleprompter. And I saw that for the first time now when you played that. And I felt like it was watching a friggin' AI robot. Like, good to see you. Today, I will talk to my friends and they will tell me great. That doesn't sell. And if you this is the problem, is that somebody looks down a list and says, you know what we should do? We should do a podcast. And I will sit in a suit where I will take the tie off and look really relaxed. And then
earth tones.
It literally looks like.
I agree, Sean. And if you watch more of it, you won't have a change feeling. You will say that thing that, Gavin Newsom's has taken a lot of criticism, and I still don't understand the politics of what he's done. But his is authentic. His is truly organic. This thing is not organic.
I get asked all the time at speeches and events about Trump, and people say, and the one thing is that, love him or hate him, he is who he is. He is privately the same guy he is in publicly. He says the stuff that he says. He is real. And I always point to the fact, because people try to think that somehow I'm going to emulate Donald Trump. And my point to them is, you need to be you. Rick Schneider, the former governor of Michigan, his Twitter handle was one tough nerd, right? He embraced who he was, which is a really smart technocrat. And it was his brand, and he sold it. He didn't try to be hip and cool. And when these guys are like, I will put an earth tone jacket on and take my top, it's like, dude, you don't look like a human.
Correct. All right. Sorry.
So these guys, my only point going forward to 2028 is they think that somehow it's the venue and the platform, not them. And 100%. That's where they miss it.
I totally agree.